Synchronicity, and is the YouTube algorithm inspired? That is going to be the topic of this episode of Chi Life. So we're going to have a bit of story time as part of this vlog. And this story actually comes from an experience that a viewer of this Chi Life channel had. It was a little while ago now. And they emailed me about it. We had a few emails back and forth, and it's just taken me a little while to get around to actually making another vlog. But I think there was something interesting in her experience that feeds into the topic of this vlog today. And I asked her if it would be okay if I talked a bit about her experience in a vlog at some point. And she said, yes, that's okay, as long as I don't share any personal details, which of course I won't. So this person has been doing Qigong for quite a while, been exposed to it quite some time ago and has continued to do it, and now even actually teaches a class herself, just a community class on a voluntary basis. But that's great. There's lots of people just like that sharing Qigong with people around them, which is wonderful. I always like to hear about people sharing Qigong with others. And as part of, as you'd expect over a number of years of doing Qigong, if you're a curious person, you're going to have been exposed to different things to do with Qigong. And so as part of that, she had actually done a couple of the Long White Cloud Qigong courses in the old format, the way we used to run them. We've updated them now. And she watches this Chi Life vlog and does other things, as someone who's curious does, to keep in touch and informed with different things about Qigong. So, what's the story? A little while ago, as I mentioned, she had an experience where she has a river out the back of her home. So this is partly why I'm standing next to this little river here. Not the same river, but nice visual, right? Something for you to think about as I talk about this story. Imagine you got a little river out the back of your house. And one day she went out the back of her house and she saw what she thought was some rubbish in the river. And as she looked more closely, she discovered that it was actually the body of someone who had passed away. And that was a bit disturbing, as you might imagine. And of course the police got involved to investigate and so on. And yeah, that's a pretty disturbing sort of experience to have that right behind your backyard. So that's not the point of the story. That's setting the scene for the story. Something interesting had happened just a few days before. She had been teaching her class, and on her device that she plays music while teaching her class, partway through the music stopped and it started playing my voice talking about something, which is a little bit odd. I mean, I don't think too many people would consider that my voice is all that musical. Some people say it's very relaxing, particularly if I'm, doing meditation things and things like that. But for it to, show up amongst a playlist of music, that's a little bit odd. But obviously she's, because she's watched videos, on the Chi Life channel and also ones on the Long White Cloud Qigong channel, I guess for some reason her device decided now's the time to start something playing with me talking. So an odd little thing, and partway through her class. But that was just a few days before she had this somewhat disturbing, somewhat traumatic experience of this discovery in her backyard. But then as a result of that, after having this experience, it brought to her mind that maybe she should do some Qigong to help her to deal with her response to this experience that she'd had. And so she went and she looked online and she searched for Qigong for trauma, something like that. And actually one of the vlogs that I made fairly recently on this channel about Qigong for after a traumatic experience came up. And And she watched that and she got some useful things from that to help her with her experience and help her with processing what she was going through. And that also inspired her to email me so we could communicate a little bit about it as well. And it's just a small little thing. But she said that for her, my voice popping up in the middle of her playlist of music was something that kind of triggered her and kind of let her know that it would be okay to get in touch with me, and inspired her about, you know, doing some Qigong to help her with processing this experience. And I don't think we should read too much into that, other than it's pretty cool. I like to be able to help people, and I like to, well, I hope that some of the videos I make have a meaningful impact on people. I hope several people might have been helped by that video I made about Qigong for after a traumatic experience, and others of the videos that I make as well. But there's a wider principle that I think this feeds into as well that's worth discussing and having a little chat about too. And that is this idea of synchronicity in our lives, how somehow, sometimes things just happen together for us, where something will happen and then something else will also happen, and why that might be. I am going to relocate somewhere else for the next bit of this vlog. We'll see how that goes. So one of the things that we know, we talk about in Qigong quite a bit, is that energy moves in waves. There are patterns in the way energy moves, certainly within us, and that's something that we focus on a lot within our Qigong practice, but also in nature, all around us. There are patterns, there are waves, repeating patterns all around us. And so this is where I'm relocating to. I might not spend too much time here, but just another little visual for you. It might challenge how well this microphone goes with wind noise. Let's see though. We'll give this a try. There you go. We've got some lovely waves in the ocean there behind me. I'm not sure how well the sound is going to go, so I'm going to come back away from here now. But let's see. Okay, out of the wind. Yeah, so there are patterns in energy around us, and one of the things we also talk about in our Qigong practice a bit is there are always equal and opposite forces. And this, again, this applies within our body, but it applies at a much larger scale around us, and sometimes that can be quite sophisticated. Sometimes it's just, yeah, one force this way, another force goes back the other way, and that's, you know, that's as simple as it is. Other times there's a combination of different forces that all combine together to create harmony, to create balance, whether that be within ourselves or within a particular situation or within the universe as a whole. Something that's really, really important fundamental principle. There always has to be balance within the universe. It's just how things work. It's how things work in physics, and it's how things work in a broader, more philosophical scale in the universe as well. And so we find that whenever something happens, whenever there's a certain force in nature and what's going on in our lives around us, there's also going to be other forces working there as well. Sometimes we can get into a mindset of thinking of these forces as literally in opposition to each other, like they're fighting each other, and it's understandable why we think that way sometimes. But this then often will lead to conflict and disharmony. When we view things in another way, we can recognize that these forces, which are in opposition to each other, are actually creating balance and harmony. And when we do that, when we understand that, we're able to recognize ways that we can go through an experience more gracefully, more harmoniously ourselves. You can think of it, well, actually, before I get to that, maybe another example. So there's a classic thing that herbalists say, that in nature, whenever you find a poison, so a poisonous plant or something like that, apparently you always find another plant that provides the antidote to that poison immediately nearby it. We have these opposites throughout nature. And you know, these things that can help with the things that we find. Now, without awareness, without skill, you might expose yourself to the poison and not realize there's something right by there that can help you through that. And that leads to an unpleasant experience. Similarly, like in terms of some bigger patterns, if you think about the seasons, it's no coincidence that in summer, the foods that can help us to cope with the heat of summer are more abundantly available to us. And so there's this balance in nature. It's like, here's a condition, here's something that helps you through. And here we go, back to my analogy from before. Let's see how well this microphone can handle the wind. Naturally in our lives, whoo, that wind is strong. Naturally in our lives, we're going to experience different things. Sometimes it's just going to be little ripples, and that's going to be, you know, smooth sailing. Sometimes it's going to be bigger waves. They're going to be more challenging for us to deal with. I'll get back out of the wind again. I hope you're enjoying these visuals. Let's see how the sound ends up. And when we encounter these more challenging situations, that ability to find the different patterns within nature becomes more important to us. As we work with energy more, we become more skillful at finding those patterns and riding those waves and finding a smooth, harmonious way through them. And Qigong is something that really helps us little by little to tune in more to the different patterns around us and to find the way that will get us through us, so that when we go out into the waves, rather than necessarily being smashed and, you know, turned over upside down by the wave, we learn how we can swim with the wave, we can even surf the wave, and so on, as we find our way through. This applies to lots and lots of things in life, and when we have this mindset, when we become more attuned to what's happening in the energy around us, we can find those things that help us through. And so, back to my question at the start of this vlog, is the YouTube algorithm inspired? I wouldn't say it's specifically inspired, but it can be surprising how, to what degree, these little counterbalancing forces filter through every aspect of our experience. Certainly in the natural environment around us, but even into things like the YouTube algorithm and what it serves up to us. That for some reason, in this big scheme of things going on in the universe around us, little things to help us can pop up, you know, even through a search algorithm. You know, simple little thing like that. Anyway, that was what I was musing about. Thought it might be interesting to share. Again, cool to hear that, you know, one of my videos that I made was helpful for someone. And also just to talk about this idea of the balance that there is in the universe and the flow of life around us. And that when we tune into that more, the same experiences may happen to us, but we're more easily able to recognize the way that we can move through those experiences in a more elegant, in a more graceful, in a more harmonious way. So I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. I hope this audio is going to turn out okay. I know it's been a little while since I've made one, just lots going on right now. Actually, one of the things that's going on right now is I'm putting a lot of time into getting another course ready for Long White Cloud Qigong, which is about, in a way, some more philosophical aspects of Qigong. It's about Wuji, Taiji, and Wuxing. So, well, practices relating to Wuji, Taiji, and Wuxing. So Wuji is the primordial, the formless. Taiji relates to yin and yang, harmony between opposites. And then Wuxing, the 5 elements, the 5 phases, these patterns within nature. So maybe that's partly why I'm thinking about this sort of topic as well as I work with those practices. I do plan to make some other ones soon, so look out for those. If you've liked this one, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Maybe it will help someone else to think a little bit different about maybe some of the things they're going through and experiencing in their life right now. It might help them to start to recognize some of the things around them, some of those countervailing forces available to them that might help them to go through their experience more gracefully. All right, I look forward to seeing you on the next one.